Welcome to The Lift. For the past 4.5 weeks now, we've been talking all about the book of James and what it means to be rooted and find out what life is really all about. We've found that just as a tree receives its life from its roots, we receive life when we become rooted in what God wants for us. And we've learned all sorts of different things, but today I want to encourage you to share those things with someone else. At the end of the book of James, at the end of chapter 5, James is just 5 chapters long, and if you haven't read the whole thing, it's really quick. But at the very end of chapter 5, James has some very important words for each and every single one of us. He says, "Remember that if anyone wanders away from the truth and is brought back, then whoever brought that person back will save that person from death and bring about the forgiveness of many sins." Now, this passage is not just talking about people who used to believe and then didn't believe and then now they do believe again. This passage is talking about anyone who is wandering from the truth. And we talked about that a few days ago, where the truth is true whether you believe it or not. Anyone who has wandered away. Now, think about how many people you know in your life who don't believe the truth, who don't understand what you might understand, and who aren't rooted in what you are rooted in. If you will go out and find those people, and you will do everything you can to love them and help them understand that God wants what's absolutely best for them, and they will believe it, then you will save that person from death, and not just death here in this world, but death for eternity, and bring about the forgiveness of many sins. See, here's what the entire book of James is building to. He's saying, here's all of the things you need to know. Here's all of the things you need to live by. Here's all the ways you need to be rooted. And if you will be rooted in all of these ways, your life will grow. Not for you. This is not for you. You've already got it figured out. You've already understood that Jesus died for you. You've already got the truth inside of you. You are already set for eternity. The way you're living is not for you entirely. Yes, it will bless you. Yes, you might receive good things from it, but it's not for you. The reason that we do all of this is because people will die, and they're not just going to die here on earth, they're going to die for eternity. And if we don't live this way, they're never going to believe what we have to say, because words are cheap. But if you will live it, if you will help people to see the way that you are living, and they can understand that the way that you are living leads to life, then they will live too. The entire book of James, this entire Rooted series, everything that we've talked about, yes, it's great. You get blessed by God. You get to live the best way possible, but it's not just for you. There are people all around you who don't understand this truth, and when they die, they will keep on dying for eternity. You have the opportunity to turn that around. When you are rooted in what God wants you to be rooted in, your life grows the way that God wants it to. And when your life is growing, when you are receiving that blessing, when you are humbling yourself so that He can lift you up in honor, and people are seeing that, then they'll want it too. And when they get it, they are saved from death. And that's what being rooted is all about. It's not for you. Think about a tree. On a really hot day, it's nice to just go stand under a tree, because it shields you from everything that's going on. Your life can be that tree, and not just shade for a little while, but you can be that shade that is so strong that the person will want to live right there, and they will plant their roots right under yours. And then they will grow, and somebody else will come along and say, "Oh man, I'm so glad I found relief from that scorching sun." And they'll plant themselves there. And more and more and more. And we can understand it's not for us, it's not for you, it's not for me entirely. but it's so that other people can come to know Jesus, because when they do, they will be saved from death and all of their sins will be forgiven. And that is what life is really all about. This is the lift.